Hi quilters! Today we are going to look at block 11 for our sampler quilt, the Dresden plate block. I want to be clear when I start that this video is being made specifically for the Two Rivers Quilt Guild of the Easton Area Public Library in Pennsylvania, and I may refer to things that are not generally of interest to the public. So if you're not in the group, you're welcome to stay and see the video, but it's made specifically for this group and it's extremely unprofessional. So today we are going to make a Dresden plate block, and I want to show you what that looks like. A traditional Dresden plate block looks like this. It has a rounded edges, and it's often in 1930s original fabric or duplicate fabric, made to look like 1930s. A block like this requires, well, all Dresden plate blocks require piecing and applique. This one requires some fairly fancy applique. I do it with freezer paper to make that beautifully rounded. This is one that I made about 15 years ago, and you can see that my rounds are a lot more subtle, a lot shallower than this one. There's no right and wrong with that. And then I got excited because I found this one, which I thought was really cool. That's a Dresden plate, but it's been made with some rounded, some pointed, and then the circle in the center has orange peel pieces appliqued on. So you can really zhuzh a Dresden plate up however you like. What I am going to show you today is considered a more modern version of the Dresden plate block, because it's a lot quicker and easier to make than the rounded edge. And this one has pointed spokes, and they're super easy to make, and I'm going to show you how to make those. So if you want to make one that is traditional, by all means, I've done it, and they're beautiful. If you want to make one that's a little quicker and easier, well, a lot quicker and easier, you can make this style. So attached to this video and also attached to your email that I sent you is this set of templates for cutting the spokes of the Dresden plate. There are all kinds of fancy, expensive rulers you can get to do it, or you may find online other ones. This one shows one with 16 spokes, and that's what mine is. This one has 20 spokes, and that's the traditional number of spokes. And this one, if you're hell-bent on spending half of your life doing this, is 36 spokes, and I imagine it's very beautiful. I will never know personally. And it shows you how long to cut each piece, depending on how big you want your plate to be. Mine is made for a 12-inch block, so I wanted it to be 10 inches from top to bottom, with an inch around the edges for each side of the plate. So to make mine, I used this one because I was making 16, and when I traced this pattern or cut out this pattern, I cut it at the 5-inch line, 5 and 5, to make it 10 across. If you wanted to make a curve, you can get anything, a cup, a glass, for this, a pill bottle, whatever you have, something rounded, and just mark it. And then if you want it to be at 5 inches, this would be a little bit bigger. then 5. These lines are the stitching lines, so you can have an imaginary stitching line here or here, and then the cutting lines are the solids. So I cut mine, and they look like this. Just a second, I will get this up in front of me. So, looked like this, and that was along the 5-inch line on the template. And then what you do with each one is you fold it in half as perfectly as you can. You definitely want these 2 points to be perfectly meeting right here. And then as you can, you want the rest of this to match all the way down that line on that outside. So you have it like this. You can finger press it a little bit to get it just the way you want it. And then you are going to sew 1/4 inch from this edge across. So now what you have looks like this. I used this dark thread so that you can see what I did. I certainly wouldn't do that on a real spoke. And then you're going to trim the way you trim corners, but this one's a little different. So I'm going to start just quite close to that dark line. And then instead of cutting the traditional isosceles, 2 sides the same triangle, I'm going to cut a somewhat longer, thinner triangle. Let's see if I can do this upside down and backwards. Sort of. So that it looks like that. And then I am going to make 2 creases or folds. This I am going to mark with my thumbnail, just as a point for me to see later. And then I'm going to open this, and I'm going to open this seam, and I'm going to use, again, a fingernail, a thumbnail, and I'll show you that nicely in just a second after I do it. But I'm pulling down and up with my thumb. So I have this little rocket ship shape here. And then I am going to turn this right side out. So it's looking like this. And whatever pokey tool you have, I don't have any good pokey tool with me here. I'm not home, but so I'm going to very gingerly use the end of my scissors to make this triangle. And this seam is now open, and I'm going to match the line of the seam with that crease that I made down the middle. I'm doing that so that I know that this is identical to this. I don't want it off so that this is longer or shorter than the other side. So we've got this like this like this. You might want to put a little pin in it, and then you're going to press it. I think that's really cool because you've got this, it's not raw edge, and you've got this beautiful little point here. And then when you have 2 of those or 16 of those made, however many you're making, you are going to start to assemble the circle. So you put 2 of these right sides together. And the key here is to match at the top. This middle is going to be smooshy, dushy under your circle. It doesn't matter. One could be 1/4 inch shorter than the other one, or all wonked out. because you're putting a circle over the top of it and appliquing it right on it. Here matters. So you're going to line these up just so beautifully here. And you're going to start stitching at this end. For this, I would have to get it through my sewing machine, I would probably have to flip it and start stitching here, right there, all the way. And these you want matched really nicely along the side. Don't worry about the bottom. The bottom doesn't matter. And then you'll fold that open and you'll put the next one on and on and on until you get to the end. And as you've come around, these will all be attached in a almost circle. You take the last two, doesn't take a Y seam, nothing fancy. You just take the last two, pull them around, and finish it up. Now, it does matter that you get 1/4 inch seams because this is set up with the right number of degrees of a circle in each one of these. And if you have 16 seams that are a little too big, when you get to the end, it's not going to come together. If you have 16 seams that are a little too narrow, you're going to have sticky uppies like that because you've got too much going on. Now there are ways to fix that. This is pretty easy to fix. You can just go back and make a few of your seams just a little bit wider. Just sew another line. Because we're not opening these seams, we're pressing them all in the same direction. So if you have an extra little line of stitching here and there, no one will know. If you don't come all the way around, I have been known to yank, pull, wet, spray. You know, if it's really awful, you're lucky because then you can just make another one of these and stick it in, unless you're alternating colors for these. As you're designing it, you can make all of these the same color. You can alternate 2 colors. You can do totally random, 16 different fabrics. I picked 5 because I like the semi-random look with a little bit of repeat. And it turned out that I made, I think, 4 of one of these designs, patterns. I can't even find it, doesn't matter. Oh, 4 of these, and I think 3 of the rest, something like that. So I wanted a semi-random look, but it's up to you. Often people make that center circle the same as the background. So it can sort of look like there's a circle cut here with the background showing through, but there's no reason you have to do that. I'm putting it on this very pale white with a little blue polka dot background if I use a background, but you could put a bold gold on there. There's no right and wrong to that. So you can have some fun with your fabric choices. Now, normally you would put this on your block. I have something I bought probably 10 years ago. It's a little white butcher apron. I think that's what they're called, with the square top, and then it ties around the back and it comes down. And when I get this home, if this is small enough to fit on the bib part, I think I'm just going to applique it straight on the bib, maybe quilt through the apron and this, maybe, you know, to see. I'm not sure. But you can play with these a lot. This looks cute on a bag if you're not making the quilt. It's, you know, really sweet on a shopping bag. So it's fun to put wherever you like. I've seen it on the back of a denim jacket. So that's cool too. So enjoy making that, and I will be, when I get home in August, over the following year, I will be very happy to help you work with your sashing and your borders and your binding and all that stuff to put this together. starting at the beginning of August, and then, you know, whenever you finish your blocks and you need it. So we can have fun doing that. It's good to talk to you. I wish you well. Have fun.